Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today I want to talk about Star Wars Outlaws. The game had its pretty lengthy gameplay debut yesterday at the Ubisoft Forward event, and the reason why I really want to talk about it is because this is Massive's Star Wars game, the game that we've been talking about here on the channel for years now. I say this with no intent to villainize any project or parties or whatever, but this is basically the project that caused the 15-month content drought for The Division 2. Because, obviously, while it was not a one-to-one, the vast majority of the heavy hitters that used to work on The Division 1 and 2 moved over to this Star Wars project after the release of Warlords of New York back in 2020. And so ever since its announcement in early 2021, there's been just a lot of conversation in the Division sphere with this game in relation to what it's going to look like in comparison to The Division, because it has so much of Division's DNA working on the game behind the scenes, how that plays into a potential Division 3 down the line. So now that the gameplay is out there, I just wanted to have a quick chat kind of about the game itself and its overall importance in the future of the Division. So let's go. They kicked it off with Julian Garrity walking out onto stage, which just instantly hit me with a huge wave of nostalgia. If you don't know, Julian was the creative director on The Division 1 and 2. This felt just like how it did back in 2018 when he walked out onto stage to talk about The Division 2 at E3. And you can call me biased if you want, but he was easily the best presenter they had across the entire show. He got right to the point, let us know what we want to know, and then we got right into the gameplay. And obviously, this is not The Division. They're not trying to make this game The Division, but I think you can see a lot of similarities in the way that some of these systems are designed, the way that things look, all of that. Particularly the stealth in this first part of the gameplay really reminded me of The Division 1's stealth elements that they showed off for the game in some limited capacities before it got cut before release. But look, overall, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, or a very particular one, I would say, but this looks fun. The gunplay looks pretty clean. I like the system where you can send out the little pet to go and retrieve weapons and bring them back to you to use during combat. That's a cool feature. I mean, it's a third-person, next-gen only game coming from Massive. You sold me on that already. I really don't care what IP it is. And it's really just wild that we're now sitting here talking about the gameplay of Star Wars Outlaws, because while it has felt like a long time that we've had this game in our minds to think about and talk about in relation to The Division, it really has not been in development for that long. And it backs up my claim that I've always made that this team of developers that is behind that game that used to be on The Division are really talented in their craft. Say what you will about whatever design decisions you may like or dislike in The Division 2, but the consistency of quality that they produce is always top notch. I mean, just think about it. This game was in early production. You could say maybe late 2019, but really when they started getting people onto the project was in mid 2020. And so in 3 years' time, they've gotten the game to the state at which it was presented in this showcase. They said that there are multiple planets that you're going to be able to visit kind of seamlessly and explore and all of that. Julian did announce a dozen partner studios that are working on this game alongside Massive, even though they are the leads on the project. And that is very reminiscent of The Division 2's production. Div 2 was made in just under 3 years, which was insane. But part of the only reason why that was possible is because they partnered Massive with so many of these other studios, they were able to help out with certain parts of the workflow. And I think it was no coincidence that Ubisoft saved this game to showcase last at the event. I think they have a lot of confidence in it. From what I've seen online, sure, you always have your people that are unhappy, and there's a lot of toxicity within the Star Wars fandom overall. But people who want a good, solid, fun third-person action game are excited for this, myself included. They say it's coming out in 2024. I think they didn't give more of a specific window because they are still determining if they can make it out within this fiscal year or not. That ends at the end of March of 2024, and so I'm sure we'll hear more about that down the line. The big question that I think a lot of Division fans are going to be asking now that we kind of have this game's release on the horizon is, does the Division 3 happen afterwards? Does that team that originally worked on The Division 1 and 2 primarily migrate back over to the Division IP? Theoretically, it would make sense with the trajectory that the Division universe is heading on. We are expanding with all of these spin-offs. We have Heartland coming up. Resurgence is now announced to be releasing this fall. The Division 2 is finally back under its feet and growing, leading up to a DLC and a big endgame revamp around the same time that this Star Wars game could be releasing. And so that could be an opportune time for them to say, hey, maybe Division 2 will get a bit more stuff in year 6 or whatever, but we are going to start working on and eventually lead up to a Division 3. Combining the workforces of this old team that had just completed Outlaws and this new team that has been working on year 4 and 5 content. But maybe that is optimistic. Truly, in my heart, I have no idea what Ubisoft's plans might be as far as a Division 3. I would be, and I think we all would be, ecstatic if we got that announcement that was happening. but there have been a lot of times leading up to now where we had thought that would make a lot of sense. They didn't go that direction, so honestly, it's really hard to say. All I know is that I have a lot of love for a lot of the people that are working behind the scenes on Star Wars Outlaws. Would we prefer them to be making a Division 3? Of course, but that's not up to us, and it's not up to them. So I love what I'm seeing. I plan to support it. I'm excited to play this game, and I'll be interested to see how it plays into Ubisoft's general plans in the future, and potentially the Division 3. That's all I've got for now, guys. Very much hope you all enjoyed the video. If so, a like would be very appreciated, and be sure to click that subscribe button as well as turning on the notification bell so that you can stay up to date with my future Division Universe coverage. Let me know your thoughts on both Star Wars Outlaws, how you like the game, if you think it looks cool, do you see any similarities there with the Division, and how do you see it playing into the kind of future of Ubisoft's portfolio and what the team behind it might be doing after its release. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of opinions and viewpoints there, so I'll be curious to hear them. For now, though, that's all I've got, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. RogueGold. Out.